I'm very, very excited about today's show because we're going to be talking about something that I'm very passionate about, and that is body positivity. We're going to be talking about the challenges and the joys associated with the movement. But I just wanted to give you a disclaimer up front. We are going to be saying the word fat a lot on today's episode. And that's because many people, many women who are part of the body positivity community have reclaimed this word. They no longer see it as an insult, but a way to describe themselves and a way to identify themselves. So out of respect for that and to acknowledge it, we will be using the term as well. One of the criticisms that is kind of leveled at the body positivity movement is that it's encouraging, it's endorsing, and it's normalizing obesity. Now, the dominant narrative associated with obesity has always been that, obese people have massive health risks and they're causing massive financial strains on the NHS. And we haven't even been able to get away from this obesity narrative during coronavirus. So I don't know if you saw, but the Deputy Chief Medical Officer for the UK, Dr. Jenny Harries, she was urging people to lose weight because a recent study showed that obesity is linked to an increase in hospitalization and death when it comes to coronavirus. And the government has been trying to do their thing. They're saying we're going to ban junk food ads before 9 p.m. on TV. We're also going to remove sweets and chocolates from shop counters. But still, they are the same government that opened pubs and restaurants before they opened some gyms and swimming pools. They also did the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, which ended in August and gave people who dined in restaurants 50% off their meals. And when I say restaurants, I use that term very loosely. We're talking about McDonald's, Nando's, Burger King. Like, these are not places known for their healthy eating. So what I wanted to ask you ladies is, when it comes to fat people, do you think that society actually has a general concern for their health? And do you think that there is a line between body positivity and obesity? And I guess, what size is actually acceptable, or when is somebody actually too fat, or are those even terms we should be using?
So that's a lot to unpack there, Sophie. So
there is a lot there. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna one by one it. Do I think that there is a general concern? I want to say this very sharply. No, I just want to be honest. I don't think there's a genuine concern. And the reason why I say that, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys watch beauty pageants or something like that, but if you ever see a clip from a beauty pageant and they always ask the contestant, what's one thing you wish for? And they're like, world peace. It's like one of those things.
So it's original.
It's like, I just want
shattering
world
statements
peace.
here.
Oh my God. It's like, I think the government and media are really good at saying, I'm really concerned about people's health, and they use health and being healthy to kind of, lack of a better words, to fat shame people. And so it's not a genuine concern. It's just one of those things that's almost nice to say. And what's good about it is, because it's one of those things you wouldn't, nobody would be outraged at the government saying we want you to be more healthier. Nobody's going to outrage it. So because nobody's going to directly outrage, it's really good to attach to any agenda that you have, because nobody's going to directly outrage it. So if I am wanting to open the country back up, but I want to start with restaurants, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you could do healthy eating, blah, blah, blah. If I'm saying, oh no, junk food ads after 9, because I want you guys to be healthy. If I'm saying, there's a sugar tax, because I want you guys to be healthy. It's a good way to kind of package the agendas and then kind of pacify us a bit. So I'll start with that, saying, yes, I don't think there's any genuine concerns. I just think it's another way to just push an agenda. Moving on from that thought. Do I think there's a difference between body positivity and obesity? I want to say yes, because I feel like it's apple and oranges. They're not one and the same. Do you know what I mean? Obesity is a medical health condition, and body positivity is more of the feeling, the state of mind, how you feel about yourself. So I would never interlink them together. Of course, I'm sure that there might be some synonymity, or whatever the word is, but I don't think it's something that I would say is the same thing. I just say they're two different things. And let me think on the other thing. So you go ahead. So let me think on the other
I was going to say, I definitely think they're two different things because as we were saying earlier, body positivity is also about politics and making sure that people have equal rights, and trying to put them together. I think it's just very, very dangerous. And trying to say that, we're trying to tackle obesity. I read this fact that said since 1980, the obesity rate has doubled in 73 different countries, and no nation has reduced its obesity level. Not one. And what that tells us is that all these things that we're saying that fat people need to do, you need to exercise, you need to eat less, this isn't even working. So what is it that we're doing is not tackling the problem. They've been saying that we've been cutting down on adverts for sugar, for salt, for high fat. And in the past 15 years, it still hasn't had any effect. So I agree with you, Anissa, in that what they're trying to do is like a Band-Aid on a very big wound. Because when it relates to blaming obesity for people's coronavirus, I'm like, but doesn't it also have to do with poverty? And the fact that some people are living in really poor, terrible housing, people have high unemployment. I saw in Sheffield that they said affluent areas had hardly any coronavirus and the poorer areas were overrun because they were like, it was about the fact of people's state of living. So blaming it on obesity is a cheap shot because in a society, it is so acceptable to get onto people because of their weight.
I hear you. I agree with Anissa when you were saying that most of the health concerns don't seem genuine. I don't believe that most of them are. And especially when they come from non-medical professionals as well.
Yeah.
Because
fitness gurus, yoga teachers.
Right? Everyone's a personal trainer all of a sudden. Everyone's a nutritionist now, huh?
Yeah.
Or a wellness coach.
And these same people will sit next to a thin person in McDonald's and watch them wolf down 3 cheeseburgers in a row and not say a word, not bat an eyelid, not raise a single brow. So I think a lot of the time, it is disingenuine. But even to be honest, I don't actually think that all medical professionals are exempt from this way of thinking. And I think that a lot of the time, actually, there was a study by the American Psychological Association. The APA did a study. The APA did a study and they found that thin patients would be recommended CAT scans and blood tests and things like that. And when they have fat patients, all they say to them is to lose weight. And there was a woman called Kenyatta who said that she suffered from insomnia and she suffered from migraines and she even had the cold this one time. And all they would say to her is lose weight. And it's not a fix all cure just to be thin. And obviously, if it was, if thin really equated to healthiness, like people keep telling us that it does, if thinness equated to healthiness, there would be no thin people in hospitals. There would be no thin people going to see a doctor. So because there are, it just disproves that theory. So when people try to come at it from that angle, it's really frustrating because a lot of the time, all you're doing is damaging someone mentally and not actually encouraging them to do anything positive for themselves.
I think that's so important because I read this really great article in the Huffington Post called Everything You Know About Obesity is Wrong. It was just the best article. We're going to link it because it was so good. But what it was saying is that, even people who are fat, who have cancer in terms of breast cancer, women and cervical cancer, they're at a higher risk to die. And they said it's partly attributed to the fact of the trauma of going to the hospitals and the fear of getting checked out. Because like you said, Anissa, for a lot of people who are larger, it is a traumatizing experience going to the doctor. They're misdiagnosed, their tests are delayed, and they're always just told, well, if you lose weight, then there wouldn't be a problem. And to say that, and I know people in the medical industry, and a lot of them do think like that. They talk about, well, a lot of it is related, but I'm like, but I also have my sister-in-law is super slim and she can eat whatever she wants and no one ever gets on her about it. Yeah. In fact, they're jealous. We're jealous as a society of people who can eat whatever they want and stay like a size 6 or a size 8. You're so lucky. What do you do? I wish you had your body. And I know people as well who are thin and who don't work out and are just like, I can't go from here to here. But, they stay thin. But we don't get on them about health. And trying to say that being fat equals being unhealthy is not even true. They're saying medically it's not true. It doesn't have anything to do with each other. You can still be healthy and be in a larger body.
I definitely agree. I think, personally for me, I just think the medical profession, not to speak bad on doctors, because I know doctors and I love them very much, but in that I do think the medical profession is rife with a lot of sometimes they hold up stereotypes and then they hold on to things kind of thing. So it's okay, if an overweight person comes into their vicinity, it's okay, let's deal with your weight first instead of caring about their issue. And it's kind of bro, that's not what I'm here for. And I feel like I've experienced that every time I go to the doctors, not about my weight, but every single time I go to the doctors, they make me take a pregnancy test, and I'm just dude, I've come here on a toe.
Yep.
Every single time.
Haven't you had that? When you go, doctor, could you be pregnant? Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not pregnant.
Sure. Every single
since I've been 16, going to the doctor often enough because
I don't know if you're not. Since I've been 16, every single time I go to the doctors, I have to take a pregnancy test. It's I don't know if I look like I'm just gonna get pregnant. I don't know what it is. And usually it's a chest infection. It's usually the wildest thing. So I think sometimes in medical professions they just hold on to notions. And my own experience of how frustrating it is to sit in the doctor's office and be bro, I am telling you that X and Y and Z is wrong with me. I don't want to be questioned 100 times about if I'm sure I'm going to be pregnant and may take time. That experience enough for me, irritates me and makes me not want to go to the doctors. So when I was reading about a lot of plus size people going to the doctors and feeling traumatized by their experiences, I completely understood, because I was just where does it stop with people? And then that's where it kind of starts for me, to answer your question earlier, Sophie, when you said what size is okay and who should say what size is okay. I feel like nobody should say what size is okay. I don't feel like any of us really need to have that much governance over each other's body. But unfortunately, we're in a world of society where several different people are going to tell you what body you need to be, whether it's the government, whether it's the medical professionals, whether it's media, whether it's your own kind of cultural community. Everyone is going to try to tell you that this is the preferred body type, so this is the body that you should have. And for me personally, I don't think there isn't any one body that I'd say that anybody needs to have. I would just say everyone just try to have a healthy body. That is literally what I would say. Whatever healthy is to you and whatever healthy is for you, then I think you should pursue that. But I don't think healthy has one specific look.
This article that I was reading in the Huffington Post, it was saying that when they've seen dramatic changes in people's health, it's because they've tackled poverty first. So they've helped people to have more exercise in regards to women get better pay, they get better healthcare, they get better child benefits, so they can spend more time with their children, so they can be out more and playing more. And that helps them to be healthier. But they said even when these studies over prolonged periods, people's weight didn't really change that much. So I think we need to be very clear about it, because I even looked on the NHS website where it talked about obesity, and it was saying one of the treatments is to have a calorie controlled diet, but diets are shown to not work. 75 to 80% fail. I think in America it's 95% of diets fail. So trying to tell people that this is the cure to their obesity, it's just foolishness, because they said if you lose 3% of your body weight, then you actually reduce your metabolic rate by 17%, and then your body has a lower temperature and is constantly fighting to get back to the weight that it was, and then it will bring your temperature up again. So your body is constantly fighting you, even if you are losing dramatic amounts of weight, to try and get back to where you were. So this is a very layered question, and again, just attacking people who are in larger bodies, and saying that it's your willpower, it's your lack of it's bigger than that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's more than just your willpower. I think in order, it's so difficult. I think for anyone in order to successfully tackle obesity, whatever that success looks like for them, I think it's a bigger issue, as you said, Sophie, than willpower. It's kind of okay, if it's not poverty, then it might be just generally your lifestyle, your habits, or maybe it's just your relationship with food, or whatever it could be. And so I think there needs to be, so it's always surprising to me that there isn't more support from us as a community, because we all know what it's like to struggle with something. So I don't understand why I want to take us, like us directly, but us as a society, our first response is, okay, well, you should stop eating or you should start exercise, when clearly that hasn't been working. So if somebody's actually seeking help, why aren't we looking for alternative methods or alternative ways to help?
I think the thing is, we don't know who is healthy just by looking at them. And I think that there was there's an initiative called the HAES, which stands for Health at Every Size. Health at every size. I had to just check it. I was like, did the letters match up with the
We could
words?
see you
Thank
making like the mental
HAES.
calculations. You were like HAES. Yeah.
So the HAES is an initiative that stands for Health at Every Size, and they started in the 1960s with the fat acceptance movement, and they suggested that people monitor their health by medical tests, like, you know, checking your blood pressure and heart rates and things, the normal things that we're supposed to do, instead of just making an observation that a person is fat. And there was a writer that was promoted by them who said that when you force a fat person to lose weight, not only does the weight not stay off, you also greatly affect their physical and their emotional health. And that really rang true for me, because I know a lot of people, I have a couple of friends who used to be fat, and they still feel like that fat kid, or they still feel like that fat teenager. And so I think if anyone wants to pretend as if they have health concerns for someone, you also need to be concerned about their mental health, and you also need to want to see positive changes in their mental health as well. But because we promote having a thin body as a cure for all diseases and a cure for self-esteem issues, people don't do the mental work, and your self-esteem issues aren't going to go away even if the weight does. You have to be able to accept yourself at every size. But I will say that I don't think that, whilst I don't think it's fair the way that fat people are treated in, I was going to name a couple of things, but just in general, I do think there are, just in general, because we've been talking about it, we know what that looks like. But I do think there are increased health risks from being obese, and being obese, like obesity is recognized as a disease by the World Health Organization, and it is recognized as a preventable cause of death worldwide. But I just believe that everyone should be able to openly and loudly love their bodies, even in the before pictures and not just in the after picture. And I think that you should be able to feel good about yourself at every size. And I don't think that people should be trying to lose weight unless they accept themselves at the weight they currently exist in. Otherwise, it's just going to be detrimental for your mental health.
Yeah, and I feel like, just to piggyback off that, because I agree with what you're saying, Luanda, it's like, why do we feel more comfortable with having people in fat bodies shame themselves? Like, why are we more comfortable with them to cover up and hide themselves, or to see them eating salads because we want to see that they're working on their transition? Actually, maybe they're not. Maybe, like, what's wrong with people being happy with themselves? That's not encouraging. Like, the way to encourage your child to do better at maths is not to say you're terrible, you're the worst person at maths, you're never going to be able to. Like, that would be ludicrous to us.
Crazy,
like, you encourage them, and when they get it right, you're doing great, and you work with them where they're at. And with fat people, I'm not saying that they need to be worked with. I'm not saying that. I'm saying shaming them is not going to show that you care. It's not going to help them. And I really want to talk about quickly the Any Girl Can campaign. No, the This Girl Can campaign, which really talks about women being healthy at any size and just finding exercise that they like to do because they enjoy it. Not because they're trying to lose weight, but just to have a healthy heart and to get moving. Because like we said, fat and obesity, or fat and unhealthy, are not synonymous.
James Corden actually spoke on that really briefly. He said, because I can't remember what it was that inspired it, but I think there was like some distasteful fat jokes that were quite mainstream. And
so it was actually another late night show host who came out saying some really fat shaming comments, and then James Corden responded.
Oh wow!
Okay, because it was a little bit of a while ago, so I couldn't remember the details. But James Corden said that if every fat person lost weight because they were shamed, there wouldn't be any. So clearly, this didn't work. So stop.
Exactly.